mypdfbooks.com. That's books with a Z.
Once again, this broadcast has been brought to you by mypdfbooks.com. That's books with a Z, where reading fundamental. Also brought to you by bindedbooks.com, where treasures are bound. Be sure to get all of your teas at My Son's Teas, the tea of teas, divinely prepared at herbsofmyaunt.com. Be sure to check out all of those musical stylings by Brian Hicks Spade at bhspademusic.com. For your everyday items and religious regalia, be sure to check out morrishaberdasher.com. And for that everyday especial Morris drip, be sure to check out morsachi.com. And all of these companies are powered by ALO Design Pros. Design your online business strategy today.
No such thing as failure, baby. Don't forget who made you. You can't be thinking minor when you need to be thinking major. They made you think they saved you, but can't nobody save you. And
haha, here's the funny thing. What you have yet to understand. They're terrified, honestly. They know your royalty and you'll be running this world someday. You got a lot on your lunch plate. I just need you to stay educated. You ain't no different from your classmates, but I just know what you can do when you dedicated. I can tell the way your head shake, that bit full of dreams and you better chase it. What if I said life is just one big field trip and you the driver, my little nigga, choose your destination.
I just want you to think about it. Wrap your mind around it. Do you hear what I'm saying? I just want you to think about it. Wrap your mind around it. Do you hear what I'm saying?
Last but not least, my little love, here's these words for you. Nothing on earth could compare to the work for you. I'm up all night and all day doing work for you. I never knew love to be pure and so absolute. You are the future makers of great men. No need to rush it right now. It's a lot to take in. Trying to make it in the mix. What a tricks off of kids who come from broken homes and they only want to fix. Doing good for yourself was your one and only wish. I know you got dreams, though they say they don't exist. They just want to stop you because they see you on a mission. Only tip I could give you, watch what niggas you be kissing. Everybody don't love you, baby, everybody different. And what you be doing ain't everybody business. Very good women getting rarer by the minute. You the last of what's left, don't let nobody trick you.
I just want you to think about it. Wrap your mind around it. Do you hear what I'm saying? I just want you to think about it. Wrap your mind around it. Do you hear what I'm saying?
Peace. Greetings. Welcome back to another BBT Book Club. I'm your host, Noble Moso L, Vernon Bush Tabernacle, Science Temple and School. And again, we welcome you to come to our classes, our book club, our workouts, Friday through Sunday. We do book club every Friday, and we offer a plethora of book topics for donation to our school. We just came back from a great fifth annual meet and greet in Arizona. A lot of us brothers got together, fellowshiped, enjoyed our days and evenings, fitness, seeing the city, getting more familiar with Arizona. And with gratitude to all the brothers and the empresses who attend and showed us a great time. And again, we work out every Saturday and Sunday morning. We have adept class. After that at 1:30. Workout is 11 o'clock Eastern. And we invite you all to come check us out at BBT Science Temple on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch. You can watch live. The privacy of your own home, or you can log in on Zoom. Drop your email to this email address you see at the bottom, burningbushtabernacle.ts@gmail. You will make sure you get the link so you can tap in. We want y'all to get all this literature that we offer. We've been offering for years. We're continuing to grow. We need and want y'all support of the community, of the people, of all nationalities that love education and spirituality, business, law, finance, fitness, herbalism, shamanism, whatever your field of study or house of understanding. We have literature and books for you. And on the ways they say you can't play this economic game unless it's about the rules that they made. But with no further ado, I just wanted to show some of the books that we're providing. Since, Moorish science is still misunderstood. Moorish heritage is still a misunderstood topic of American culture and American history. And a lot of people who misrepresent what Noble Ali and Deuce Muhammad and Malcolm X and all these great Islamic students and scholars wanted us to continue through business, through education, through spiritual practices, through music, through the arts. Through historical preservation. At the end of the day, people who profit from their culture and keep their culture up, they preserve it. Peace.
Peace, Moso.
What's up?
Here for the word, man. Gratitude.
Islam, Noble. Yeah, as I was saying, just wanted to offer some of these books and documents that we offer, so brothers and sisters can study along and have things for their studies and their libraries to build.
Islam.
One of the books here is the Holy State booklet. Excuse me. The Holy Nation State, Moorish Science Temple of America.
I'll give you half.
These are the teachings of Noble Drew Ali as expressed by Supreme Grand Sheikh Walton L. By Supreme Grand Sheikhess Walton L. By the divine guidance of Allah and our Holy Prophet Drew Ali. And this book, just breaks down, the definition of state. A state is a people permanently occupying a fixed territory bound together by common law, habits, and customs into one body politic, exercising through the medium of an organized government, independent sovereignty, and control over all persons and things within its boundaries capable of making war and peace. So it's saying that the body politic, which is the people, which is your nation or your tribe, they together exercise through organized government sovereignty, and not sovereignty as a sovereign citizen or an individual. This is with the numerous people.
Last but not least, my little love, here's these words for you. Nothing on earth could compare to the work for you.
No, this is,
And all day doing work for you.
just trying to clean up the information about nationality and more science. That's what this book
Indeed, indeed.
breaks down the origins of the word government, origins of the word theocracy. And it says that, a theocracy is defined as a government of a state by the immediate direction of God or by the assumed direction of the suppositionist divinity or the state thus governed. A theocracy is the government of a state by the immediate direction of God. That's what all these religious institutions are utilizing, as the religious laws protect them. That's what Drew Ali set up. As you can see here, the Moorish Science Temple of America was established as a religious corporation by filing the Affidavit of Organization, document number 1010-5905, form a 1099 record in the Record of Deeds Office in the County of Cook, State of Illinois, on August 1st, 1928, at 2:52 p.m. At that time, through this affidavit, Holy Prophet Noble Drew Ali gave birth to a free national government as an ecclesiastical body politic and corporate, under the revised statutes of the state of Illinois, chapter 36, section 36. Check out the science. July 20th, 1928 was on the third day in the beginning of a new moon during the sign of Virgo, August 1st. 1928 was the day of a full moon. Was it coincidence that on July 20th, 1928, the Holy Prophet held a meeting, had the affidavit notarized, and recorded the affidavit on August 1st, 1928 AD at 2:52 p.m. And this is on the back of the 101s of the Moorish Science Temple. If you've ever been a member or are into this knowledge, you should have this book. We offer it. Right here talks about the Hurd-Smith Revised Statute, Chapter 32, an Act Concerning Corporations, Section 36, Religious Corporation Act, played a huge origin on establishing the Moorish Science Temple of America as an ecclesiastical body politic and corporate. How can any subordinate temple of the Moorish Science Temple of America not operate under the Hurd-Smith Revised Statutes, Chapter 32, Section 36? Because this act clearly states that any church, congregation, or society formed for the purpose of religious worship may become incorporated in the matter following by appointing, according to its usages or customs, at any meeting held for that purpose, 2 or more trustees, warden or vestryman, or such officers whose powers and duties are similar to those of trustees, as shall be agreeable to the usage and customs, rules, or regulations, such as congregation, church, or society. And many adopt a corporate name, and upon the filing of the affidavit, as hereinafter provided, it shall be and remain a body politic and corporate by the name so adopted. So this document, breaks down the religious protections when you have a nationality and a divine creed, how you're protected. I'm not gonna go through. I'm not gonna read the whole book because you can get this from us. Talks about the covenant and the oath of the holy state. This is a big issue in the communities of America. You know, if you don't, cultures you see with covenants and oaths, they seem to be very successful as opposed to those who don't.
I just want you to think about it. Wrap your mind around it. Do you
See what other documents like that.
Has no sides.
I just want you to think
Right.
about it. Wrap your mind around it. Do you hear what I'm saying?
Look for my email 1 second.
Last but not least, my little love, is these words for you. Nothing on earth could compare to the work for you. I'm up all night and all day doing work for you. I never knew love to be pure and so absolute. You are the future makers of great men. No need to rush it right now.
Why you looking for your doc, Noble? Isn't it sad that when the person want to get the answer right and the teacher give the answer, the student will still choose to answer the question wrong?
Yeah.
That's like insanity.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
And what you be doing ain't everybody business. Very good women getting rarer by the minute. You the last of what's left. Don't let nobody
I
trick
just
you.
want you to think about it. Wrap your mind around it. Do you hear what I'm saying? I just want you to think about it. Wrap your mind around it. Do you hear what I'm saying?
I think I don't know if y'all can see this document. Blow it up a little bit.
It's long. It's long.
It says Islam, truth or myth. Interestingly, not many Muslims want to accept that Allah was already being worshipped at the Kaaba in Mecca by Arab pagans before Muhammad came. Some Muslims become angry when they are confronted with this fact, but history is not on their side. Pre-Islamic literature has proved this. And this is from a document, Who is This Allah? By G.J.O. Moshe in 1994. But history establishes beyond the shadow of doubt that even the pagan Arabs before Muhammad's time knew their chief god by the name of Allah, and even in a sense proclaimed his unity. Among the pagan Arabs, this term denoted the chief god of their pantheon, the Kaaba, with its 360 idols. This is from the Muslim Doctrine of God by Samuel M. Zoomer, 1905. The fact he did not at first intend to establish a new religion, but rather to reform the belief in Allah, which already existed, and to show what this belief truly signified and rightfully demanded. That's from a document, Muhammad, the Man of His Faith. So to continue with this pre-Islamic origin of Allah, you know, because when people ask if you're Muslim or Islamic, all these things that we study as Sufis have pre-Islamic origins. And that's why we study Christianity, Islam, Judaism, Buddhism, Zoroastrianism, Hinduism, all these isms and houses have knowledge that you can learn from. And it says there is absolutely no question that Allah was worshipped by the pagan Arabs as one of the many polytheistic gods. Allah was worshipped in the Kaaba at Mecca before Muhammad was born. Muhammad merely proclaimed a god the Meccaeans were already familiar with. The pagan Arabs never accused Muhammad of preaching a different Allah than the one they already worshipped. Many scholars say Allah is derived from the compound word in Arabic, al and ilah equals Allah or ilah. In Arabic is God, and al in Arabic is a definite article, like our word the.
A Noble Muslim, also in Aramaic, the Aramaic name for God is Allah.
Right. Allah and Elah with an EL, right. So the etymology breaks it down clearly.
Indeed.
And it says, so from an English equivalent, Allah comes from the plus God. Others, like author Jeffrey, says the common theory is that it is formed from ILAH or Elah, the common word for a god, and the article AL, thus Al Ilah, the god, becomes Allah, God. This theory, however, is untenable. In fact, the name is one of the words borrowed into the language in pre-Islamic times from, like you just said, Aramaic.
And you know what, Noble? Like, remember when I was teaching about the palindrome word? Remember the palindrome word, right?
Right.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, definitely.
Noble Moso.
Yep, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Can you hear me, Noble?
Yeah.
I said, remember I was lecturing about the palindrome word, right?
Oh yeah.
What palindrome word was I talking about?
What was that one?
Come on. We say it all the time. Hiya, remember?
Yeah, right. Yahweh.
Okay.
Hiya, right.
Now, when you do some research on Hiya, you think about that to come. That and it's the biblical scriptures. Hiya. I'm gonna lecture that, probably just an introduction in adapt class tomorrow, but it all goes together what you're saying. Peace,
Islam. Yeah, that, like you said, and that transcends many cultures through the Americas, through Africa, through Asia and Europe. I mean, this is a universal language. That they found artifacts in America with these spellings of Allah and in the Americas before slavery. Like the document continues to say, although Allah has become known as the proper name for the Muslim God, Allah is not a name, but a description that means literally the God. All pagan cultures have these generic terms that refer to their top god as the God. Just like we were talking about before about Most High and Holy of Holies. You know, there's levels on top of levels. That's what Kabbalah teaches about. In comparison to the perfect monotheism of Judaism and Christianity, Allah was originally no more a proper name for the Muslim God than the word Hebrew or Elohim, God, or Greek, Theos, as we were just talking about, theocracy, Theos, are proper names of one true God of the Bible. Jehovah is the only revealed proper name for the Elohim of the Old Testament. You can read that in Exodus 3:13 and Exodus 6:3.
And even when they say Jehovah, we can always ask scholarship because we know it never was a J in the Hebrew dialect. But we use that to explain. You know, when you look at Jehovah, when you look at it the right way with the right eye, is Yahweh.
Indeed, no, indeed.
Indeed. Gratitude.
Like you said, I mean, when they add the J, they mess up the palindrome word because you can't say it the same. It just
Islam, come on, ma. So that's a hell of a fact. You can't get Hayah with that J. It ain't gonna write Hayah. And it's in the biblical scriptures. It's a code. I'm gonna share it tomorrow. Like it's Hayah. That's one of the code names. He came. Hayah, Hayah, Hayah. You got Yah to the right and Yah to the left. Islam.
Islam. That's definitely powerful. A powerful creation for sure. Power in the word.
When I lectured it on campus, I call it the Yoso Somos code. I gotta find my notes because I remember I shared that with y'all a while ago, but it was the Yoso Somos code. But it actually goes to the palindrome word. When you were universal, you can teach in all so-called religious houses, because that's why we under the triple rose, and nothing can be denied what we saying. So gratitude for the teachers, man. Islam.
Islam. So as it's saying, it says Islam has no proper name for their God, but merely transformed by universal use and confusion the generic Allah into a proper name. So although today Muslims use Allah as a proper name, it was never used this way originally. Allah therefore is equivalent to Elohim and Ho Theos, but not Jehovah or Jesus. Allah is not the name of the nameless Muslim God. However, Muslims will claim that Allah is the name of God that corresponds to Jehovah. Both the Father and the Son are called Ho Theos, the God. Jesus is called the God. Many times in the new equivalent to Elohim and Ho Theos does not mean that they are directly corresponded, because we know these things don't translate like that. So you got to look at the etymology of both of these words. It certainly doesn't prove Allah is the same as the God of the Old or New Testament. It does not prove that Muslims worship the same God as Christians. If this correspondence proved the Muslim God was the same as the Christian God, then because pagan religions also have generics that correspond to the God, Allah, this correspondence would also prove that Allah is the same God as the Buddhist God, for Buddhists also refer to their God as the God.
What do we say in More Science Moso? We believe in all the prophets, Jesus, Buddha, Muhammad, Confucius. But how can we believe in things that we never see and hate the God, man, that represents all that? You know, Islam.
Right, definitely. You have to study them all. That's what they were doing back in ancient times. These people they understood the many cultures. That's how some of them infiltrated and got conquered with the Greeks. As we have a great book, Stolen Legacy, George G.M. James breaks down the time period where Greeks, Romans, Hamites, Nubians, Moors, they were all studying under the same schools, putting this information together. This document breaks down what scholars say about the origin. I'm not going to read all of that. But it talks about the black stone, the Kaaba. That's one of the rituals that Muslims pay homage to in Mecca.
And noble. And as we start looking at things like when we look at religion, and when we don't know the culture like Credo Matua and Sheikh Bamboo Falls, the Moradines, when we be thinking a lot of things be so-called Islamic, but we know it's really the Arab, AP, a lot of stuff be culture. Like for instance, when you see the European Jew or the Ashkenazi Jew per se, and they twirling the chickens and all that. No disrespect, but that comes from African culture. All
Right.
that comes from culture. They have no culture, and it's no disrespect. Like I said, I'm Melchizedek to my European Jewish colleagues, and they know it. It's like they had no culture. All that culture come from when they came to the continent of Africa and saw those so-called savages that they wanted to call them, and saw us already cultured, and they came back and just copied. That's all.
You're right. As you say, the copy Jew.
Nothing but facts, and facts are stubborn. But that's just what it is. And as we continue to teach, we said we're not going to hold back anymore. Letting people get us caught up in false teachings because the information is there. And we have to stand strong on it. That's what the Holy Spirit says. It's like, if you say this the Gospels, let's break it down. It's only one gospel. It's only one science.
This is another book we offer. I don't know if y'all can see this. It's called The Curse of Cana. So you can get a better understanding of the Canaanites, and it says it's a demonology of history.
And I'm glad you just said that, because you just said something right there. Our library is so extensive. But before you go on, when a lot of people be misquoting, and I have to say this, Moso, because and I'm glad I can go live on TikTok now. But when you see a lot of brothers and they be misquoting the demonology of King James, most people haven't read the book. They say, you see this, the King James Version, he practiced devil worshiping. But that ain't the melanated King James. And one, I know you haven't even read the book. And I know most brothers just look at pictures, And so it's important to come to study. It's important to come to class with a group of brothers that not only have the books and can get them to you, but can break it down and break down the science and the words to clear up truth and falsehood. To say, man, we got to get off spookism. Just like people be quoting all masonry and acting like it's something scary, all false doctrine. We clean it all up.
Islam. That's what education should do. You shouldn't be arguing. You should be able to come from sources and research and come to an understanding. A lot of misconception has been taught about the Canaanites and Egyptians, and it's up to us to clean up the history, to really study it and dive deeper into who the Canaanites were, who the Phoenicians were, who the Babylonians were, who were the Moors of the ancient world and the Blackamoor of the Bible. There's so many terms they've used we called ourselves, and we've been labeled on our people, that it takes a lifetime to study the history that you've been disenfranchised from. Not to say other people aren't a part of it, but our story goes back to the beginning. And if that's the fact, then there shouldn't be any breaks in it, despite enslavement or prisoners of war, or you still can be yourself. There are documents about slaves who knew of their nobility and still understood who they were, despite enslavement. So, all people went through slavery. The word Slav is of Slavic people. Yugoslavia, Czechoslovakia. We're here to just teach you that there's more to the story, a lot more to understand and embrace culturally. And this book again talks about the curse of Canaan. I was going to read the preface. It says, after 40 years of patient study of the crisis which faces humanity, She arrived at a very simple conclusion. All conspiracies are satanic. In retrospect, this conclusion should surprise no one. I admit that it came as something of a surprise to me. I had never anticipated that my decades of work would lead to such an all-encompassing and unchallengeable solution. This answer had eluded me through the years, not because I was on the wrong track, but because I had not yet consulted the ultimate source of knowledge, the Bible. To trace the machinations of the materialist conspiracy, I had deliberately limited myself to materialistic sources, reference material on banking, politics, economics, and the biographies of those who were deeply involved in these affairs. I'm gonna go down a little bit. The contents talks about the war against Shem, the transgressions of Cana, secular humanism, England, the French Revolution, the American Revolution, the Civil War, the state of Virginia, which is one of the first states. We have a book about that in Jamestown, and Pocahontas, and this continues about the war, the world wars, the menace of communism, the promise. So yeah, I'm not gonna stay too much on this book, but this is a good one. Let's see what else I had. We have this other book called White by Law. And we really want brothers to understand that white is not a race, it's a legal construction. Free white persons is what all free people can claim to be, of all nationalities. We still have a descent nature, a coat of arms, a family crest. Nothing illegal or radical about understanding your nationality and heritage. So this book is called White by Law. It's by Ian Haney Lopez. And I'll read a little bit of it. It says, white lines. In this first words on the subject of citizenship, Congress in 1790 restricted naturalization to white persons, though the requirements for naturalization changed frequently thereafter. This racial prerequisite to citizenship endured for over a century and a half, remaining in force until 1952. From the earliest years of this country until just a generation ago, being a white person was a condition for acquiring citizenship. So this is a big topic still going on right now, because we see a lot of Africans, we see a lot of people of Latin culture, and we see people in the community at large arguing about a person's blackness, or brownness, red, white. But we should be careful with the terms that we're using, because if it says that just a generation ago, being a white person was a condition for acquiring citizenship, that would tell me that every person who's become a citizen, despite what we look at them as on paper, on their ID, on documents, they have to be considered a white person. Whether one was white, however, was often no easy question. as immigration reached record highs at the turn of this century. Countless people found themselves arguing their racial identity in order to naturalize. So we're into claiming your nationality is not naturalizing. It's going along with checking a box that the country you're trying to become a citizen defines you as. And it says from 1907, when the federal government began collecting data on naturalization, until 1920, over 1 million people gained citizenship under the racially restrictive naturalization laws. Many more sought to naturalize and were rejected. Naturalization rarely involved formal court proceedings, and therefore usually generated few, if any, written records beyond a simple decision. However, a number of cases construing the white person's prerequisite reached the highest state and federal judicial circles, and two were argued before the U.S. Supreme Court in the early 1920s.
Hey, Noble, you see how when you don't know who you are, they basing it on nothing. They just arbitrarily explain it. That's why when you go to the course, it says, for the record, stay who you are. You know, and I tell people, like, no one can tell you who you are if you don't know. If you don't know, then I'll make up some SHIT.
Right. Right. This is the time. This is the 20s when Noble Drew Ali and Deuce Muhammad and Marcus Garvey, W.B. Du Bois, all these people. This is when the word Negro was starting to be labeled on people.
Yep. Wow.
So if your family's not telling you who you are and you're not researching your heritage, you can easily be disenfranchised from national standing in your society, in your community, in your everyday life.
It just killed me that our own people, misnomer black, they say Moors are Arabs. And I say, well, if you do some history, you are the Arab. You are the ancient Arab, not modern. Every first century writer, European, tell you, from Vladimir Dale, definition of an Arab in his 1828 dictionary, and then you got Bertram Thomas when he stayed with the ancient Arab. And Bertram Thomas wrote so many books that I sent to y'all, the Arab, Arabia, Atlantis, and they just been telling it for centuries. Even in the Book of Mormon, the Book of Mormon say that misnomer black people are the ancient Indians. It's said in there because the Book of Mormon was plagiarized by the View of the Hebrews. I lectured at college. I said, I'm sorry, all my Mormon family, but the Book of Mormon was plagiarized by the View of the Hebrews. Point blank.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, Mobley, it seems like we're to a point in society where a lot of Moors and the people who call themselves black, they travel the world. They go to Saudi Arabia and Dubai, and people spend money on trips. But I hope when they go there, they see what Noble Drew Ali saw, that we are one and the same with those people. I mean, when you travel, you see people that look like you. You see people that look like your family. You don't need a book. You don't need DNA tests. The bloodline is undeniable when you travel the world and you see people that are your bloodline. I mean, it's a real thing. I think people get caught up in those words as it's saying Arab, black, so on and so forth. It's like if you don't know the words, you don't know the meaning, you'll get lost.
Yeah, it's blind. Like I said, like we were a lot of names. Like more don't stop you. When I say one nationality in many cultures, people be forgetting their culture. Like Empress Gostin El Bey of the young DI Moors.
Right.
They Moors. We the ancient ones. And it's just sad that a lot of us have a problem with identifying our culture. We're not stripping your family legacy. We're not stripping that. We're not stripping your coat of arms. But we're not Negro, black, and color or African American. Those are misnomers. That's all we telling people. And there's other people that identify. We talk about copper colored races. We talk about men having relations with different women, which a lot of those ancient ones did.
Right.
That's where a lot of the overthrowing happened. When I tell brothers and sisters, I say the son does the bidding of the mother.
Right.
So when people think about things, and you see in the continent of Africa where you got all those Saudi princes and all that, you have to start going back and seeing how they became Saudi princes.
Right.
Then you will start seeing it. Then you will start seeing what those brothers that say they Arabs that don't know the ancient language of where the Arab language come from, because it come from a place, an alphabet is going to start revealing everything, and it's going to start revealing the misquotes that a lot of pale Arabs and a lot of black Arabs are misquoting because they misquoting the language. That's all. It's just like if you got the lexicon when I broke down kumbaya, and a lot of people grow up, they think kumbaya means come by here, and it don't. When you get the lexicon for the language, you have to be proven wrong because it's stand up and arise. It's not come by here. It's stand up and arise. And when we keep those things that from a place of no education, we operate on a lie, Noble Moso, because that can be proven wrong. Kumbaya does not mean come by here when you have the lexicon.
Islam. It takes a deeper study, like you're saying, to really.
I'll be telling these brothers, especially when they trying to deal with civics, Moso, and they watch these videos that we had a brother come like, listen, man, it's a way to do things, and if you don't want to do things, then you're a criminal. You outside the parameters of the law, and you just will be judged with accordingly. Remember, you will be judged by your works, and that's what's happening with a lot of people. Even a lot of these old Moors that people call sheiks, all that stuff is being destroyed because it's sovereign citizen Roger Elvick paradigm stuff, and you can't do that. You know, every year they have a terrorist list. I showed you the one last year. I'm gonna show you the one again. They all on there. All of them. Everyone that say they trying to overthrow the government or this, not, or this, some, they all in trouble. And that's not more science. So gratitude again, Noble.
Islam, you're right, Noble. You gotta. It's a right way to practice this in public and in private. I mean, it's not a secret. It's a sacred information. I mean, if you read Noble Drew Ali's works talking about Bohemian groups and all these different, like you said, Hindus, Buddhists, all these cultures and houses were welcomed in more science and Sufism, yoga, yogi practices, Tai Chi. I mean, Moorish culture.
Chakras, the Sephiroths.
Yeah, all this stuff. It's nothing that you're already studying that isn't linked to these peoples. I think once people embrace it more, they can talk about it without hate and anger. People get so angry when they talk about history. They play the victim. When you understand you understand that Europeans were slaves too. White people were slaves in America and Europe and Asia and Arabian countries. It was the Muslim slave trade. The Muslim slave trade, a lot of the Muslim slave holders had white slaves and black slaves. So the slave story is deeper than most public schools will ever teach. And, it's up to people with family personal schools and institutions to give the literature and share the literature, and we continue to provide it every weekend and every week that brothers and sisters want it. We're going to keep sharing it and offering it because this is part of scholarship and continuing education to the day you die, so you have something to leave your children and your family and your loved ones. But we're getting to the hour mark, Sheik. I appreciate all the nobles that jumped on, and again, you can email us. You want any books? We accept donations. You can join us for classes any weekend, Saturday and Sunday. We work out at 11 o'clock with our Mufti Malik Reed L. We welcome all brothers and sisters to join us. Make sure y'all can check us out at Burning Bush Tabernacle Science Temple and School, BBT Science Temple. We welcome y'all to, check out our sites. We have herbal teas. Myself, I offer herbal remedies at herbsofmayat.com. You can check me out and hit me up directly on Instagram and all social media platforms. You can email me at mayatsons, MAATSONS @gmail. And you can call us, reach out for books, literature, suits, fezzes, turbans, MoorishHaberdasher.com. We have a plethora of suits and ties and all types of drip that you're going to want for this spring and summer. We also have ALO Design Pros. If you're looking for any web development, web breakdown, I'll show y'all. Y'all will see it all on the final commercial. And we offer books at bindedbooks.com. Also at mypdfbooks.com, we have books. So we're a one-stop shop for all Moorish culture, all divinity, all education, business, finance. We just had our 5th annual meet and greet in Arizona. We're all continuing to make our way and migrate down that way. So we welcome all y'all to continue to check us out.
Can I share something before you leave, Noble?
Sure.
And I just want to add on to what my noble minister Gregory Masso El was saying. The Great Migration is us coming together, man. We don't have to leave where we're from, America. But in this paradigm, we involve the whole man. And my noble Gregory Masso El is our herbalist. So I'm telling brothers, because I got an email today and it was like, Sheik, would you please start sharing all that stuff that you be sharing, all the food you be eating and the workouts, because they see that. And here at the BBT, we don't just talk about it, we live it. We show you how we all, where most of us are in our 40s and we in good shape. And we share things with brothers and sisters. Anything that you want to learn about herbs, about concoctions, you can get them from us, or we can show you how to blend them. Like I said, somebody hit me up with asking me about Apple and Eve, and I don't know the guy that sell it, but I did the research, and I say, one thing about us, we complain. I say, if you really connected to us, we can show you how to make your own concoction. But a workman is due is higher, and you can make your own concoction. We are a group of brothers to give you information. And that's what you will want. You want good advice to be able to do things on your own, to be able to grow your own herbs. Or if you don't have your own herbs, get them from brothers that you deal with. So you can see that money being cultivated in our community. You can see it being given back and all those things. And you can join this community. We're not here just to sell you nothing, but we're here as a community to barter with each other, to show how our dollars can affect us and how we can do things in our community. And a group of righteous brothers like myself and the BBT, we can show y'all what can be done the right way when we gather funds under our organization, under the spirituality, and we can give back to the community. See, that's what this is about. This ain't about collecting a whole bunch of dollars and telling people they need it for them. It's about us building this community and resurrecting who we are as a culture. So once again, y'all, please hit us up. Our numbers, get with our brothers. We have a whole plethora of ministries for the whole family. And I just like to say gratitude again, Noble Moso, for your time today. Peace and love.
Peace and love, Sheik. Reach out to us, email us. It's another one of my main website emails, Herbs of Mayat, HERBSOFMAAT at herbsofmayat.com. Check out the site. I got dry herbs on there. I have PDF books through mypdfbooks.com and bindedbooks.com if you want any physical copies. Books and tea go great together for your spring. When you're out on a picnic with your lady, you need to, get into the wisdom together. A lot of men have issues with this. The older you get, you might be studying, your empress might be just working and at the gym. So you have to find commonality with your spouse, with your loved one. That's one thing I learned from you, Sheik. You gotta have. You don't want to just be studying and not being able to share education with a woman that you're courting, or you'll come into conflict as y'all grow, because you'll be pulling each other into your different spiritual house of understanding, when there can be a common bond and a common bridge.
Islam, Noble. Well said.
But again, appreciate all y'all for jumping on, Noble. I'll see y'all tomorrow for workout and adept class.
Peace.
Peace and love. MyPDFBooks.com. That's books with a Z. MyPDFBooks.com. That's books with a Z.
Once again, this broadcast has been brought to you by MyPDFBooks.com. That's books with a Z, where reading fundamental. Also brought to you by BindedBooks.com, where treasures are bound. Be sure to get all of your teas at My Son's Teas, the tea of teas, divinely prepared, at herbsofmyaunt.com. Be sure to check out all of those musical stylings by Brian Hicks Spade at bhspademusic.com. For your everyday items and religious regalia, be sure to check out MorrisHaberdasher.com. And for that everyday especial Morris drip, be sure to check out MorrisSachi.com. And all of these companies are powered by ALO Design Pros. Design your online business strategy today.
No such thing as failure, baby. Don't forget who made you.